Hello, welcome back to RootCause. Today we are diving into one of the most underrated tools in Windows Server 2012. Obviously, it's a legacy operating system. FSRM helps administrators to monitor, manage, and protect data stored on the file servers. Whether you are enforcing storage quotas, blocking unwanted file types, or classifying sensitive content, FSRM gives you a powerful tool control over your file system. One of the most powerful features is file classification. You can create rules that scan the file content for patterns like confidential or sensitivity. And let's dive into file classification. I have logged into Windows 2012 after the installation of FSRM. We go to Start menu and open the File Server Resource Manager. Click on that. And the left hand side you can see different options. This quota management, file screening management, storage report management, classification management. Currently we are going with classification management, where you can create classification rules, classification properties. So we'll start with creating a classification property. I'll create a new local property called confidential. Right, let's go with that. Make it yes, click on yes, extra confidential classification. Now going back to the classification rules, I'll create a new classification rule called again confidential, scope, user files, and target location, and keep it as a document folders. Click on OK. Sorry, before that, going back to the classification, create a property confidential value yes. So what is the expression? So I'm going with the string. If any files or any files content word called confidential or string called confidential, the tag will create it as a confidential yes, and click on OK. Click on OK. So we created a confidential classification rule. Now going back to my documents, where you can see that I do have already created user details and the classification confidential as yes. So we'll create a multiple other users. What the user 2, user 2. We don't have any confidential content or any word called confidential. We make it as saved. We will save. We'll keep another user 3, or there is a word called confidential in that user data. So user, okay, that's enough. Let's go back to our classification rules, and we'll run the classification rules and see what are the changes making those files. Background, we have run the classification rules. Come back to here. Okay, let's see. So user details, which was already there, where you can see there won't be any changes because confidential is yes, and user 2 doesn't have any confidential string value in the content. So let's see whether it has classification confidential is none. User 3 had a confidential string in the document. So let's see what is the property classification. So confidential yes. So what will be the real scenario when it comes to implement this? So if you have a file server which has terabytes of data without any classification, what we can do, we can create such classification rules and identify the files which are confidential, sensitives, and move them to a different secured folder to encrypt those data, so that for audit purpose, security audit purpose, it is always good. Let me know if you have any thoughts. Thank you very much.